What's happening, hardscapers? Today we're going to talk about this project that you see on the screen, what I think is going wrong here. Let's get into this. So if you look here, you can see that not only do we have some settlement up in that area there, but you can see that this side, these pavers are slipping off here, and you can see that the polymeric sand is cracking away. You can really see as I get down closer here how much that has gone by. Now that's been caused by two things. One, the client had a contractor here with a generator sitting here vibrating for a long period of time, which caused a little bit of movement, although that maybe should not have happened with proper compaction. So you can see with this project, we've got pavers sliding off away from the fields. We've got our border pavers, and you got a nice gap there with the polymeric sand, and it's obvious that there's something going on that's causing the pavers to slip off the edge there. And in my opinion, what's causing this is that there's not enough base extension past those final pavers. The base extension allows the pavers to sit on a solid enough foundation that if any traffic or any load is present on top of those border pavers, they're not going to slide off over time. And that's exactly what's happened here. There was no base extension, and those pavers, after just a year, are starting to slide off away from the field pavers. It is recommended that you have the base extended past the final pavers at the measurement of the depth of your base. So if you're doing a walkway patio and your base is 6 inches deep, the base should extend past your final paver 6 inches. If you're doing a driveway and your base is 12 inches, then that base extension should be 12 inches. The idea behind this is that the more load present on the surface, the more foundation you need past those final pavers in order for it to sit without being separated. And in addition to that, enough room for edge restraint, because without edge restraint, you are going to still get that migration of pavers beyond with any load present on top of them. Typically, when we see this happening and these pavers sliding off here, you see it a lot in a side walkway, and what that is the base preparation of your walkway or even driveways, everything should extend past the pavers. This walkway's base is 6 inches deep. This needs to extend also 6 inches past the edge of the pavers. This gives it a nice collar to sit on without sliding away. Now, the reason why we see this a lot in side walkways is because of the swale. However, with this project, you can see that if we extended the base any further, we would be interrupting that swale, and base material would be exposed, which would have happened here. So there's two solutions to this in this problem. If the walkway is built too far into the swale, it doesn't necessarily leave the contractor a lot of room for that extension. This is why these pavers have not shifted as far away here, because the swale is not as steep in this area as it is up in this area. So as you can see, the swale gets really steep here, which means they were not able to extend this base of these pavers out further in order to give it that collar to sit on. Now, one way to alleviate this would be to make the walkway 6 inches smaller, which may not be suitable for the client. Another way would be to build a retaining wall to be able to act as that edge restraint, as well as to level things out and then make sure that there's no slipping away of pavers. One solution is to remove those border pavers, and that's your base extension right there. Essentially, you're reducing the width of that walkway. Evidently, that's not what the client wanted in this case. And in fact, I spoke with the client, and the client actually requested the contractor that did this project to extend it. But us as professionals need to present what may happen to this if we follow what the client wants. And this wasn't communicated properly for that client. If that client is wanting to extend that further into the swale, essentially what we will need to be doing here is to build a retaining wall to be able to build further into that swale, as long as we're not on the other property line. If at all possible, you could always lower the height of the walkway in order to be able to extend that base further into the swale, but in this case it's not possible, being that the walkway actually lines up with the driveway height. This base extension also needs to be accounted for in a synthetic base installation. You're still going 6 inches past that final paver. This allows for enough room for that plastic edge restraint to be drilled into the synthetic base. And we also see problems with this along a fence line where pavers go right up to the fence. But this doesn't allow for that base extension if you were to do this. Instead, the pavers should end 4 to 6 inches before that fence starts to allow for that edge restraint to be able to be installed, because the fence is not a solid enough surface to retain those pavers and act as an edge restraint. So we need to get that edge restraint in there. And what we essentially do with that is we dress up the side of that fence where the pavers and the edge restraint meet with some decorative aggregate. That solves the problem of that situation. And we also see base extension necessary in a retaining wall build, where in front of the retaining wall we have a minimum 6 inches of base extended past the retaining wall. And in behind a retaining wall, we have a minimum of 12 inches behind it with a base extension. So this base extension is followed everywhere in hardscaping. It's extremely important to follow so that you do not get this same mistake that we saw here. Otherwise, you'll see those pavers begin to slide off over time, especially with more and more traffic or load present on the surface of those pavers. Now, this isn't one of our projects that we did, although we're doing the backyard right now for this client. Client asked us to fix it a little bit. We gave them the options. We're just gonna pick it up, re-level it as is, and hope for the best. But client knows what went wrong there. Client's understanding of what happened. That's when you notice that side blocks shifting away from the rest of them. It's typically because there's no adequate extension of that base. Grass is going to grow over top of that, no problem, and you need to quote that in your jobs appropriately to allow for that extra excavation, extra base prep, and so on. So that's something important to consider. I hope this video helped you in some way, shape, or form. If it did, please give it a like. If you want to learn more about hardscaping, we have a members only platform where you can go check out our online courses on how to install interlocking concrete pavement, how to install segmental retaining walls, as well as features and getting to know your numbers. A bunch of courses coming in the near future with that. So check the link in the description if you want to learn more about this membership platform. Comment below anything that you want us to cover more in depth with this problem, with other problems in hardscaping. If you want to send us photos in, connect with us at How to Hardscape on Instagram. Send us your hardscape failures that you've seen, and we'll talk about on this channel what we see wrong, what may have caused that failure. Or comment below any other topics that you want us to cover on this channel, and subscribe to this YouTube channel for more hardscaping content. Thank you so much for watching.